It's Real Fit Radio with B
and J.LOU.
If this is your first time listening, welcome. And if you're a returning listener, welcome back.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's not how fast it travels, but how soon it gets there that counts. That was from Bruce Lee.
Okay.
I'm sure you know about that. It's working smarter, not harder, right?
Right. Immediately I went to, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, but I don't know if those two are the same. Sometimes people do stuff really, really fast and the end result is not good.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm pumping myself up. We just did a podcast yesterday, and we're doing another one today because if you listen to the previous podcast that just dropped today, all over the place, we're trying to get back on track with our recording, and we normally record on Mondays, which gives us the whole week for Lou to edit and us to get everything set up to drop on Monday and record again. But we've been doing it Thursday, Friday, and we made it all the way to where we actually did it yesterday, Sunday. It was edited in the same day, it dropped today, and we're recording today. So it's important that we give ourselves that space so that we have time to kind of regroup and be refreshed and ready to do another podcast. So we need that break in between that Monday to Monday. You listen to people that drop podcasts 3 times a week. I shouldn't say I don't know how they do it, because
they have a bigger team.
Yep. And they're not editing. And also, I don't want to downplay sitting in front of the mic and talking about whether the topic is preset or not, and getting a good flow and hitting your target audience or getting the message to the people, because that's what a podcast is for. You just said the other day they had like a mystery podcast. I actually want to check that out because I'm
murder mystery.
Right. Is it solved at the end, or is it pick up next week, or it's like a whodunit? So I have to look into that, but it's something for everybody out there. So yeah, we're back and we're better. We'll say that every time, back and we're better. And we're going to give you what you came for. Without further ado, we're going to jump into the meat and potatoes of the podcast. And what we're talking about is don't be the stereotype. It's so frustrating to me. Stop fitting the narrative. By saying that, I mean whether it's cultural, based on your ethnicity, gender, men do this, women do that. That's even an easier example for me to give. If you don't like people saying that about you, stop being that. It's kind of like, I hate when people say that about women or men, but you can look at that same person that just said it and it's like, but you fit the narrative. You are the stereotype. How do you feel comfortable saying that? And you're doing exactly what people expect you to do based on the stereotype. I do know sometimes even within our own ethnicity, things culturally for us, I've seen it. It's like, you know what, that is true. A lot of us do that, or a lot of women are this way. But some of those stereotypes I get a little frustrated about because it spills over to some of us that are a part of the group that are like, no, that's not me. That's not what I do as a woman. That's not what I do as a Black woman. All short people don't have a complex. All people that have been hurt are able to get into relationships again. They're not all just so damaged that they're incapable of having a good relationship or a level of intimacy or whatever it is. I want to specifically say the big stereotypes. Let me just narrow it in on that.
Well, what's the one for a woman? Black woman.
That we're angry and we got to do everything. We don't know how to let people do stuff for us. We have to be in control, and we're always mad about something. And that one, I'm not going to say I'm going to break it, but I do want to give a little backstory to that, because I feel like a good majority of Black women get a bad rap just based on people saying something but not knowing where that may come from. For me personally, lifestyle, experience, upbringing, those are things that can spill over to me fitting the stereotype. I have to do everything myself. It's not that I want to. I've had to do everything myself if I came up in a single parent household. And then as I grew up with a mother, and it's like, look, this is the information I'm going to give you. You're going to have to go out there and get it, and you're going to have to work twice as hard, because nobody's just going to give you anything. If it's instilled in you, you're a Black and you're a woman. And also on top of that, you see me being a single mother. That's what your mother's telling you. So don't expect somebody to be there. If a man is there, it's a plus. But if he's not, you better be able to figure it out. Do not depend on a man for anything. You better be able to handle it yourself. And you're watching your mother handle it herself. There's some emotion that comes into play there because it's just like, wow, you don't even know how to have a good relationship. The first man you should have a relationship with is your father. And if your mother wasn't, I don't want to say fortunate because it doesn't mean that you didn't have a good upbringing or your household didn't have love in it. But if she didn't get with somebody else or wasn't in another relationship to give you an example of something healthy where it's a man and a woman, all you see is a woman. And you see that woman wearing multiple hats and you see her handling her business and she's got to put on a serious face because I think that's what a man would do. She's being a man and a woman. She doesn't have the option to be without care and laughing. And that one stereotype when it's like, haha, I bet you came up in a single parent household. We've seen it on movies before because black men or women, they don't have fathers. With that comes all the other stuff too. It's not to say, oh, woe is me. But when you group somebody in, kind of see where that comes from. But in that, I still don't want to be stereotyped as being angry or why you look so mean. Some people just don't smile as much. Don't put that on everybody. Maybe I'm thinking. You always do your little brow, how you say my brow's kind of frown, but I'm thinking a lot. I'm thinking about what we have going on here and next year if we could do this and how's this going and let me check in over here. So I'm just thinking, I'm processing. Does your computer smile when it processes? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? When stuff is happening, is there a smiley face that comes on the screen? No. But that one doesn't bother me as much because you have the opportunity to cancel out that stereotype by just being like, I'm not angry. I'm not trying to control everything. If somebody gets to know you, I'm not trying to make the world, no, I'm not angry. But if a person gets to know me and their interaction or experience in dealing with me, they'll know that that's not who I am. But other stereotypes, like for black men, you guys have kind of been grouped into being entertainers.
Yeah, that's...
And entertainers, I mean, not just music, but basketball,
no, sports,
anything where you're entertaining.
Anything in front of a live audience.
Mm-hmm.
Actors, sports guys. I do believe that is a stereotype that needs to be addressed. And one of the reasons why I feel like,
well, I have a question while you do that.
Okay.
Paul was trying to get in there because I said, don't be the stereotype. This is perfect for you. You're an artist.
All right.
And you said on previous podcasts, you'll say, I'm an artist. I write. You do hip hop, but you do love Hans Zimmer. You do incorporate strings and other instruments, pianos. You stretch yourself, but you want to disassociate yourself so quickly when someone says, oh, you do music? And in your mind, it's like, when they say, what kind of music do you do?
Yeah.
You quickly don't want to be the stereotypical. If it's something with an upbeat tempo, it's like, oh, you a rapper? It's like, no, but I'm not though, because you already kind of know the stereotype that comes with that. So you're doing what I'm saying. No, I don't just rap about money and selling drugs. And I'm not saying that's just bad, but that's what people equate it to sometimes. It's like rapping has to be this. It can't be I'm rapping about, and it's not even positive things. It's you've been exposed to more than just that. Because I rap doesn't mean my life is guns, drugs. But if that's what it is or what it was, okay, fine. But just don't stereotype somebody because it's like, oh, you do rap music? Oh, yeah, I know what you do. You probably smoke weed, you guns, you drugs, girls, women.
I agree. And I don't get offended by it because specifically with the recent music that have come out in the last, 5 to 8 years, it's really been drugs, money, women driven heavily. Now, granted, this generation would be like, well, we can listen to y'all music when it was early 2000s or even early 90s, and y'all was doing the same thing. And I do understand that. But to a degree, I just think that it's a lot more of that going on than before. Let's just even go back to the original hip hop. When those guys first came out, KRS-One, Slick Rick, all those guys, they were telling stories about what was going on in their life. And some even came out with more of a revolution type thing, political views. I'm not saying that that's what you have to do in order to rap, but we've had this conversation before. Because of the oversaturation of one viewpoint of what rap music is, that's what every person thinks when you say I'm a rapper or I'm a songwriter. So I associate mine with songwriting because of the simple fact that I want people to know that I paint pictures with my words. There's something going on, and it's not just about having big cars and having attractive women, etc., etc. Granted, that's cool, that's party music, but it's so much more to it than that. It's just not my stereotype. Even with Josiah, I know we went to the store a couple of times because Josiah's like 6'4", everybody assumes he's a basketball player. Oh man, you gotta be playing basketball with that type of height. Somebody else would be flattered by that, but at the same time, somebody who not only do they know that they are smart themselves internally, like, I know that I'm smart and I know I can do other things. I know I can build a business from scratch. When somebody see me physically, it's like, yeah, I know what he is. He either play football or he's a basketball player. It's like, no, I'm a doctor.
Even when I'm saying don't be the stereotype or don't fit the narrative, I'm not saying it so much so where someone is tall and talented. Hey, by all means, get your money, go play ball, be good at it. But also have a high business acumen. Take yourself to school in some other areas. Don't be the stereotypical dumb jock. Don't just leave it to, that's all I know to do. Ball is my life. We've seen it in movies. Boys in the Hood. Ricky had his ball. One of the guys, he was going to college. And I mean, if you don't know that movie,
Friday Night Lights with Boobie Miles when he tore his ACL. He's like, that's all I know how to do is play football. What I'm going to do without that? I get where you're coming from.
So when I say don't be the stereotype, I'm not stripping away that, hey, I'm naturally talented in that area. I rap if that's what you do, but don't only do that. Be able to make investments.
Or cultivate another artist.
Right. Stretch yourself. Keep a couple of different irons in the fire. Don't be solely dependent on that for your livelihood. That's my only source of income. I made all this money, but I don't know what else to do now. And it's like stereotypical rapper. Just know how to grab the mic and do music. You're performing. Another one. I'm not going to name the stereotype. I'm going to speak on the thing that just pisses me off. I don't like when I hear, specifically, it's been heightened politically about saying this group of people's dirty and this group of people's doing this and that. But when you go into certain areas where it's predominantly certain groups of people and you see it's dirty, dude, I don't know what else to say. I would fight to combat or just kill off that narrative. I'll throw it on us. If someone was saying, man, black people are just dirty. Like you heard it before, they always killing each other or they don't know how to get along. They can't work together. Those are stereotypes that I can't make anybody do anything, but I can rise to the occasion to not be the stereotype. You've heard in previous podcasts where I've searched high and low to spend my money with not just good business, but small black businesses. And it's just like, it was a journey. It still is at times, but I make sure that I don't leave without saying, hey, you got to tighten it up in this area. You did not provide me good customer service. So you can't say nobody support me, support black business because you fit the stereotype. You have all these reasons why you can't provide great customer service.
Not being nice and
just crazy stuff. So those are things, but I hear statistics sometimes where they say this particular ethnicity are prone to diabetes, high blood pressure, and I understand some of that runs in our family, or it's like my grandmother had it, but fight to not be the narrative. Eat better. Try to be as healthy as possible. Don't just succumb to, well, they all had it, so I guess I'm gonna have it too. That's what I'm supposed to be. It's so disheartening when I see whether it's another group of people that I know a stereotype always said, and it's like, dang, you really fit the narrative though. You are who they're talking about. And I would be mad if I was a part of that group because it's like, I know it's more to that group of people than just that stereotype. You know, and I keep taking it back to just us as black people because I don't want to start speaking on other ethnicities and what I've seen with them. But you know, if you're listening and whatever you are, whether you're Hispanic, black, Asian, Puerto Rican would still fall into there, African, El Salvador, all those are still in those main ones, Caucasian, you know what it is to be stereotyped. And if you don't like it, then do something to break the mold. Be the exception to the rule. Be that person. If it's just one that somebody came in contact, let it be you. It's like, I wasn't the stereotype. I'm going to fight to, I don't care who you came in contact. When you meet me, if you don't never meet anybody else, as a black woman, I didn't fit that stereotype.
It definitely helps because I'm not gonna lie, I've put myself in positions where I'm already angered by somebody because of a stereotype that I have or some current event happened. I'm pissed in my mind, and now I'm around somebody that fit the mold or the build of that person that committed a crime or something, right? I already don't like you. in my head. Let's just be transparent. So when you come off the opposite way of what I'm thinking, it really helps, because every time I want to, and I'm just speaking for me, if I want to be prejudiced or I want to be angry at somebody, case in point with a white person, I meet some all the time and they be so pleasant, and it's like, I know it ain't everybody. So when you do that, it's like, dang, I can't be mad at everybody like that. It's not even in my spirit to be angry like that, because in my mind, I know that everybody's not like that. But every time I meet someone that meets the intensity of me being pleasant, it's like, okay, it was just one bad person. It's a bad spirit out there. And flip-flop, it should be reciprocated to be the same thing. Everybody has some type of prejudice, no matter what they say. They can say that they're not racist or not, because that's what stereotypes, in my opinion, is. It's like a preconceived notion.
It was based on experience or someone else's experience that they hammered into your head, like,
right. And
don't do this, don't, because it's gonna happen, and out of fear sometimes.
Yeah, it is what it is. So when you see someone that's not doing that, it ought to show you something like, oh, okay, I know what I heard, but man, I've been running into so many people that's not like that. And it really goes a long way, and it goes back to what you said about not being in that narrative and not fitting the mold of a stereotype. If you know that's what they say about XYZ, then why would you go out there and do those types of things? Or put yourself in a position of where you would look that way. I'm not telling anybody not to be themselves. I just want you to be mindful of, okay, well, this is what they say about us, and whoever us is, let's just try to do something different. And then if you do have a stereotype, whoever you are, and we all have them to a degree, try to understand why that stereotype exists, because there has to be a reason why it's there. You said the angry black woman. What we need to do when we say that shit is we really need to, okay, we say they angry, but why are they angry? Or when we say our daughters are growing up trying to go with any young man that say they look good, you saying that they thoughts because they doing that, understand why they doing it. If they was in a single parent household where the mother was the only one there, then you need to understand that they're seeking some type of love and attention they father should have gave them, and because they didn't, they're looking for it in another man. Instead of calling them thoughts or they moving like this because of that, try to seek to understand rather than just throwing out a term like that. With men are walking around having to be hard, and the mother is having to be just as hard, because it's like, I gotta be the mother and the father. So really, the mother can't be the nurturing person she was supposed to be, because she has to play both genders. So as a result, when a man is running around angry at a woman saying he can't commit himself to a woman or whatnot because of maybe his mother not really committing the type of love that she would have done if all she could be is just a mother, then maybe he would have a difference of mindset on how he comes about women. Now, granted, I'm not giving anybody no passes for doing dumb stuff. I'm just saying, seek to understand where these stereotypes come from, as opposed to just saying it and then walking away from it. Just try to understand it.
Yeah, like when you said that, not just the angry black woman, it's the angry black man. Yeah. But I'd be angry too if a lot of the things that are happening, the climate of the world, you turn on TV, and we've talked about this before, or you seeing another black man, somebody that looks like you, doesn't mean that you have to have lived their lives, but it looks like you. If you keep seeing them being shot and killed, even if it's not by a police officer, if it's gangs, anything, I would have some tension and look serious, and there may be some frustration. It might not even be that I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm confused. Yeah. What does fear look like on some people? Sometimes fear doesn't show up the same way on one person that it does on another. Fear could be, I'm gonna keep this face like this because I'm just trying to disguise all the hurt, and I'm trying to hold it together. So I'm not saying to walk up to anybody and just try to peer into their life, but like you said, try to have a different approach or take a different perspective, or just be open when you're dealing with some stereotypes. And for individuals where you know you can do better, don't be the stereotype. stereotype. Well, a perfect example I thought of when you were talking was, if you haven't seen it, it was a really good movie, The Best of Enemies, with Sam Rockwell and Taraji P. Henson when he was a Klansman. I'm not spoiling the movie, but she was a black woman going to church and he was a Klansman, and their paths crossed, and it was really a beautiful story because there were so many stereotypes there. He's a freaking Klansman and she's a black person, and not only a black person, she was a black woman, a mother. Her kids were going to segregated school, and it was a really interesting story, and it's a true story. I went and looked at the real life characters and what they did after that story, and it was a really good movie, but they had to break all kind of stereotypes in that movie. Wow, it was amazing. Remember the gas?
Yeah, I remember that.
It was just, if you have not seen it, it was underrated. The Best of Enemies. And then the other one, Hidden Figures, was another one. There was a stereotype there. A woman, remember, she was running across to use the bathroom, and I am at a place, not even of tired, it's just the frustration of hearing one thing but seeing something else. Stop doing the shit that they are expecting you to do. Stop doing it. You can't bitch and moan about it and then go do what you know that everybody's going to say. I knew it. I knew you weren't going to amount to nothing. Stop saying that. But you're doing things that put you right in that stereotype, making stupid decisions, being in bad company, and not making any plans or setting any goals to do better. I'm just staying on small stuff because I don't want to start attacking really big things. We'll be talking all night, but I wanted to throw that out there. Just don't be the stereotype, man. If you can do better, do better. Start with little things. And it might not even be the stereotype for your whole ethnic group. It's not a culture. Just don't be rude. Just think sometimes like, you know what are things about me? I'm a woman of this ethnicity, whether you're a single parent or not, you're interacting with people all the time and you can change the narrative. If I meet somebody today and it's like, okay, you meet me, you learn a little bit about me. Oh, she's married or she's not married. Oh, there's a statistic or a stereotype. That's a 2-parent household right there. That's a black woman and it's a 2-parent household. Okay, wow. That every time they meet Josiah and Jair, it's like, wow, the kids they're so smart and so driven and motivated. I'm sure narratives are changing all the time.
To be.
Yeah, they are, but we already know sometimes a narrative, 2-parent household, 2 siblings, another narrative. You guys can't be siblings and get along as well as you do. They say that to the kids all the time, like how? But they're changing the narrative all the time. When you're meeting people, you have the ability to not be the stereotype, to change the narrative, and it's not rocket science. Just be better. When you're just being better, it could be something as simple as when I'm out moving around, we would go to the gym. We watch people not even speak to other people. We watch people, they don't hold the doors for people. It's somebody always watching. You don't know what that person's interaction has been with other people of your gender, your ethnic background, just any of that stuff. There are other things that say social, economic, but yeah, I'll just keep going on. Just do better, man. Do better to not fit the narrative, to be the usual suspect. That's pretty much all I have on the topic. I mean, did you have something else to learn?
Well, no, the only thing I want to add to, and it's a very small detail, is...
How small?
It is small.
Really?
Very,
small?
really small.
Okay, 1, 2...
Girl, I'm referring to a lot of the media type stuff, and it can apply to the killings of black people or angry black women. When they show you that, let me give an example of that. I know a lot of times when, specifically me, because I'm on Twitter a lot, and I see people say, well, this type of crime happened to Hispanics or whites all the time with the cop killings or stuff like that. Well, they don't show that as much as they show us being murdered. So when you say that black people shouldn't be angry about that when it happens to everybody, what do you expect when it's always being shown and it's just us? If they showed us more of everybody being murdered like that, then we'd have a sympathy for when you come for us and say, well, we get killed just as much as y'all do. It's like, well, okay, well, why don't they show you guys getting murdered like that? So the same thing I look at with angry black women or any other stereotype that's in the world. I'm only using those because those are the ones we use majority of the podcast. But even with movies and things like that, with you guys, like they never show the docile black woman, you know what I'm saying? Not docile in
she's
terms
always
of weak,
strong.
but she's always angry. She's always like, I can do this by my damn self. I don't need a man, blase. But if you show more of the other side, which I know it exists because I experienced it in different relationships and including with you, that you guys exist where there's a balance of that strength and there's a balance of submission, and women don't take the word submission in offense. I'm just saying it's a balance there to where you're not having to take care of everything. You can be vulnerable and things like that, but if they don't show that as much as they show the opposite side, which is the stereotypical concept that we keep getting branded into our mind, then you will continue to have that issue. So that's all I'm saying. It's like, okay, just understand why we look at it a certain way, and that's in general. I don't care who it is, and when I say we, it can be whatever ethnic background you come from, because in your country or wherever you are, where they're showing one narrative and you in your head like, that's not us. Oh, I got one, the Muslims. All Muslims are not terrorists, but you're running around and putting it on the news that everybody that has a turban on, I'm sure they get pissed off about that shit. Right. And it's like, come on, man, stop doing that. This is my culture. So you want me to start wearing this because when I get on a plane, you're scared of me, and I ain't got shit to do with it. I got kids just like you. I'm trying to make my money just like you. But when I get here, you looking at me clenching your bag and telling the stewardess keep an eye on me and shit, like, that's not cool. So I'm saying that to say, just understand. Don't take everything that's being shown on television, Instagram, your social medias, and all movies. That stuff. Yeah, movies, all that stuff. Understand that there's always a narrative that's being pushed in the direction that they want it to be pushed.
Yeah, they portray that narrative, and you're being televised programmed, and that's what it says. You're being programmed. They control what you see and can create fear or create what you believe, which is the false narrative, the false stereotype.
Research some more, man. I encourage you to pick up a book. Go research on your own. Don't just succumb your mind to everything that they show you. Get off your ass and start looking at some other stuff. I'm talking about the people who don't want to do that, or who really have this mindset of this is what it is. It's like, no, go research that. So that's all I had on it.
And I hope that even with reading and seeing that people will rise to the occasion to be better and not be the stereotype, so that that's not your only reference. I read in a book that there are some good people. I saw a movie, and in that movie they played a good person. That's just the beginning. That's planting the seed. But I hope that you have a real life interaction with somebody that does not fit the stereotype or the narrative. They just don't. You know, it's something completely beyond what you could have imagined, and that you can share that with someone, and it's authenticity. Like, it was really a meeting, a real life interaction, not something you just read in a history book or you saw in a movie and it's like, oh, those are actors playing those parts. But if that really could happen, that'd be nice. No, I want it to really happen. This was a heavy one for me because I'm so over it. I'm so over it. I am. It's like, come on, let's do better, you guys. Let's do better and stop putting everything on one person. Don't want to get into politics, but whoever's in office, we all pick who we want to pick, but it's bigger than that. It's more of us than them. What does it say? We the people. Let's do better. You know, let's just do better as a people, man. I'm over putting it all on one person. The judicial system, I get it. Stuff is broken. But if just every person would be like, what can I do to be better? How can I make this better? We can create an energy and a camaraderie amongst each other that's just be out of this world. It's just untouchable. It's like, I know this is happening, but what we have going here and how we taking care of and looking out for each other, it just would feel so different. It wouldn't feel like it was all this chaos all the time. What part can you play? If you have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, or you want to keep this conversation going, you can shoot us an email at realfitradio@gmail.com. Our podcast drops every Monday. You can catch a snippet of the latest podcast on our Instagram at realfitradio. If you're not following us, you definitely should be. Transcendence is out. I'm going to keep telling you guys that. It's fire. It's on all the platforms. J.LOU. EP is Transcendence. Fire. Check it out. As always, we hope this inspired, impacted, or empowered someone. Until next time.